Hi, I'm Nick Armstrong, and this is Dear Fort Collins. It's a podcast to discuss issues in and around Fort Collins, featuring experts from the city and the county and elected officials. Our goal is to help make you a more informed neighbor of Fort Collins. In particular, this series of the podcast, we are interviewing city council candidates and Poudre School District Board candidates as well. Now, I ran for city council in 2021, and I know how hard it was to connect with every single neighbor and spread the word about what my campaign stood for and why I was wanting to run. I wanted to give each of our candidates the opportunity to connect with you in a medium where you might be comfy on the couch or you might be driving in your car, but able to listen on your own time and get to know a little bit more about these candidates and why they're running and what they stand for so that you can make a more informed choice as a voter. Now, I do serve on the Parks and Rec Board for the City of Fort Collins, as well as the Box Elder Sanitation Board and my neighborhood HOA board. I'm not here in any of those capacities. I'm here as a private citizen, and my hope is that using this podcast, you can become a more informed voter and make a more informed choice when you go to the ballot. With that, let's bring in our candidate. And today we're here with Patricia. Patricia, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Patricia Babbitt, and I'm running for mayor as write-in candidate for the city of Fort Collins. I decided to do this kind of last minute when I heard that nobody was opposing Mayor Arndt, and I thought, well, we kind of need some opposition to at least get some questions going, and so this has been a big learning process for me, but it's been good. A lot of the things that I was interested in doing by running is basically being the voice for a lot of people who have felt unheard, people who just feel like they're either being not heard or misheard. And I want to be able to try to speak up for them. I'm also very much of an environmentalist, so I'd like to try to speak up for our wildlife that is also not being heard as well as I think it could be.
So why are you passionate about Fort Collins, and what motivated you to run for a local office?
I love the natural areas in Fort Collins. I love working with my students. I have great friends here. And again, what motivated me to run for office is that I felt like with all of our growth issues going on, I felt a lot of us have the same concerns. We're worried about housing. We're worried about transportation. We're worried about our natural environment and resources, or ideas as to how best deal with the issues that come with our growth issues. So I thought, well, how about I get in on this and try to bring some different ideas to the table so that we can better deal with some of the problems and continue to keep all the good things that we have as well.
Patricia, can you share a project or an issue that you'd like to tackle if elected?
Sure. These are both two related environmental issues. I was very active in getting the Hughes open space issue onto the ballot so people could vote to keep the Hughes area, the Hughes Stadium area, as an open space rather than having the proposed building going on it. And so during COVID, during fires, during terrible weather, I was out there with some other people getting lots of signatures. We got it on the ballot. Almost 70% of the people voted to keep it as an open space. But in recent months, a lot of mountain biking organizations have been saying, we want 80 acres of this land for a mountain biking park. And it seems like some of the leaders on the council, including the mayor, have been courting this idea. And I feel like, gosh, that's not what people were asking for when they were asking for open space. And the mountain bikers make up a very small part of the community. So that was one thing that made me feel very concerned about many people's voices and wildlife voices not being heard. The Hughes area is a migration route for over 300 animals that depend on it. And So that was a huge one for me. I've been active trying to help with Poudre River issues, again, the water issues, and how NISP and other organizations are trying to decide how to work with, deal with the water in the river. And for me, the Poudre River is a valuable place for our wildlife, our ecosystems, and considered when we keep making decisions that are related to our growth and other issues. And then I guess another one, I think you said one, but they're all interrelated. So I don't drive, I've never driven, so I depend on public transit, mostly my bike and my feet to get around. So I'm very interested in trying to help with getting better transit, public transit, so people aren't as dependent on their cars. And again, this can help with us having better solutions for our environment and our housing issues.
What makes you uniquely qualified to represent Fort Collins as the mayor?
Well, as I said, I have been working with a lot of marginalized populations all my life. I taught at CSU. I worked with international students from all over the world. I'm currently working with the Learning Source at Front Range Community College, working with many immigrant and refugee students. And even when I started teaching in the 80s, a lot of my students were all within the same classroom trying to learn English, but they had come from countries that were sometimes at war with each other, or tribes within the countries fighting each other. And I've always had to say, hey guys, this is our goal. Let's peacefully work to make reach our goals. So I feel like that's a little unique thing I have to bring to the table. Also, the fact that I've never driven, that I do depend on our transit. I think I see our solutions or potential solutions very differently from the people who design transit systems. For the most part, I think a lot of them have ideas and dreams, but very little experience. And so that's another qualification that makes me different. And finally, I live in a tiny log cabin where I still share this with my 2 adult sons. And we've been here about 28 years. And my husband was here, but he passed away 6 years ago. But during that time, we've also opened it up to anybody who felt like they needed a place to be. So often I'd come home from work and not know who'd be at our house, but I've always tried to make my home a very welcoming place. So I feel like I have a lot of qualifications that could help me lead our city leaders in our city.
Patricia, who do you consider a role model in the realm of public service, and what have you learned from them?
I have so many role models in the realm of public service. But I guess as a teacher, I'll talk about a couple that people don't think about as much as some of the others. And one, her name is Sylvia Ashton Warner, and she taught English in the early 20th century in New Zealand, working with Maori populations, and they were considered trouble populations. And she was working with a curriculum that just didn't cut it. And so she said, we really need to listen to what our students are needing to communicate if we're going to make any leeway with them. And so she did a lot of really groundbreaking work in education and improving lives for marginalized people. Another one, and this is a much more famous person, but Maria Montessori. I taught in Montessori schools for about 9 or 10 years. And Maria Montessori, of course, she was the first woman doctor in Italy, and she saw all these children in the slums of Italy during the industrialization period and said, gosh, if we could just bring them a nice environment to work in, and learn in and thrive in, things could be so much better. And so her whole, well, not her whole deal, but a lot of her way of doing things was to create beauty for these children, both indoor and outdoor, beautiful environments for them to learn in. And this included very concrete materials to help them learn more abstract ideas, so that a lot of children learning in Montessori settings were able to learn many things quickly because they had such hand-on approaches to doing it. So Sylvia Ashton Warner and Maria Montessori are two women models that are not necessarily thought of, but of course I have other models too: Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, but everybody talks about them. So I'll go with my two women.
Patricia, if you could have any superpower to help your community, what would it be?
I think it would be the superpower to really communicate and get more people to understand how dependent we are on Mother Earth. And if we don't take care of Mother Earth, nothing else is going to matter. And so again, I know we have so many issues that we need to try to deal with, but I really feel like dealing with our natural environments and remembering that we aren't on the top of the pyramid here. We're kind of on the bottom, and yet we can do a lot of damage that can affect all of us. So I just wish I had a way to make people feel as I do, that we need to really focus on caring for our precious ecosystems. And by doing that, we will better lives for everybody.
What is one piece of advice that you received but you didn't take and wish you had?
Honestly, I can't really think of any right now. I have learned over the years to listen to my gut feeling on things. And I've learned if I don't listen to my gut, I usually pay for it. So, and I learned this lesson probably around 30 something years ago. So, well, that was like the final one. I a few times thought, oh, I should have listened. But so, yeah, right now, I don't really have advice that I haven't taken and regretted not taking, because I listen to my instincts. I listen to my gut feelings.
Excellent, Patricia. Where can we find out more about your campaign? And is there anything else that you want to tell a listener?
I'm at Patricia Babbitt for Mayor. So that's PATRICIA BABBITT, and then for the number 4, and Mayor, MAYOR.com. And there have also been a few articles about me recently, and of course we have this.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you're enjoying this series of learning more about your candidates. It's so important just to get out there and vote, but to do so from a place of knowing who you're voting for and why you're voting for them, it's a really comforting thing. I'm Nick Armstrong, and I can't wait to see you next time.